We met for the first time in July. We were engaged mid-September, and then we got married that December. So within 6 months, we had met and married. I was probably 15 or 16 years old and got diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and which pretty much meant that I was going to have a hard time getting pregnant. When he and I first met, we had long discussions about this, about how, baby might not even be a possibility, and if it was, it could be an expensive process. So September of 2012, we decided, he had a couple conferences on the West Coast, and so we decided just to make a long trip of it, kind of like a honeymoon. During that trip is when I started feeling, we were gone for about 3 weeks, and towards the end of that trip, I started feeling very sick. And I just couldn't put my finger on what it was. Pregnancy was not even on our radar. And I told Jeff, I was like, we need to leave early. Like, something's seriously wrong with me. I need to get to a doctor. So we came home a little early, and we went straight to the doctor's office from the airport. And that's when we found out we were pregnant.
Yeah. The doctor came, I remember the doctor came in and was like, hey, you think you're pregnant? And I remember you're like, no, we're not. There's no way possible.
There's no way.
It's not going to happen. So it was a big surprise. I mean, it was. We were happy at one point because we didn't know for sure if we were going to be able to get pregnant. But then we were also like, oh crap, because we weren't expecting it. It was just a really big shock. Because we didn't know for sure if we were even going to be able to ever have that moment. And it's just one of those things that when it happens, it's like you don't even know for sure that it's going to happen, and then you don't know how it's going to happen, and then here we are cutting a vacation early trying to figure out if Sarah's getting ready to die from some crazy illness, and then boom, she's pregnant, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the journey on how we figured out that we were pregnant to begin with.
So we went to the first appointment, and they did some blood work, confirmed that there was a pregnancy, and they were like, okay, well, because of my PCOS, it was throwing my hormones off a little bit. So my hormones weren't exactly what they were supposed to be. So they were like, come back next week. We want to do some more blood work to see the difference. I didn't think there was going to be an issue or a problem. And at that appointment, they did the blood work. They got the lab results back pretty quickly. And they told me that I'd had a miscarriage. So at that point, they gave me a prescription for some pills, and told me to go home and take them, and to give myself a few months to heal, and that we could try again. I remember calling him and just, bawling, because we were so excited to have this opportunity to be pregnant, and then I felt like it was just ripped from us.
This doctor's office believes that we're no longer pregnant, and based on all the tests that were ran, and then actually prescribed pills to go ahead and completely terminate the pregnancy.
Yeah. So thank God that we put our trust in him, and we just had a feeling that I did not need to take those pills, and that we needed to get a second opinion. I found a doctor in Mount Pleasant who specialized in PCOS, and within the next week, we had an appointment with them. They actually did a sonogram, so it was still too early to see a heartbeat, but they could see Ava growing. We went through and pretty much had a normal pregnancy. There was no surprises. So we went in for a doctor's appointment one Friday morning, and they said, hey, do you want to have her today?
And it was like, okay, now's the time. The doctor said, today's the day. Let's have this baby. So it was exciting. And that afternoon, we relocated over to the hospital from the doctor's office and called our family, and we're like, hey, today's the day, man. We're going to have a new member of the family this afternoon. Baby's completely healthy. Everything is exciting.
So Ava was delivered at around 2:30 on Friday afternoon. And at first, we had no reason to have any concerns. She was gone for about 30 minutes. And they called, and they're like, Sarah, she's not breathing normally.
And the first thing that I thought in my mind is, thank God, we picked here because they've got this advanced nursery that level 2, whatever the problem is, maybe this is just normal precautionary. And they called back and they said, we have to tell you that Ava's still not breathing the way that she should. And so they basically came down, they said, we don't know exactly what the problem is, but we're concerned that even in the level 2 nursery, that we're not going to be able to take care of her. And I remember they said that we're probably going to have to transport her down to MUSC. When it really hit me what was going on is whenever I was driving from Mount Pleasant to downtown Charleston, and the ambulance that was taking my daughter passed me. You know, I never will forget that, you know, the kid that you love so much is there and in another car and is going in an ambulance to this hospital that you never planned for. The issue was that they finally said, okay, Ava's got an abnormal breathing problem that we can't put our finger on, but we believe it's pneumonia. They said, we've got to get her breathing stabilized because she is breathing at a very rapid pace.
I was so worried at Ava about this point that my blood pressure had skyrocketed. And, you know, the typical 2 to 3 day hospital stay that's typical for a C-section, I had reached my 3 day and they're like, you're not going home until your blood pressure comes down. And so he came up with this master plan. They couldn't discharge me, but they gave me what was called a sunshine pass to where I could at least go outside. He showed up at East Cooper and said, hop in the car. We're going to see Ava. That week, that Thursday, was the first time I had seen Ava since the night that she got sick. Seeing her for the first time was hard. She was hooked up to everything. They had earphones on her ears. They had her eyes covered. So I got to spend about 2 hours with her, and then he had to get me back to my hospital. He had to take me back to East Cooper, and I'm telling you, that night my blood pressure came down.
She just wouldn't give up. 1 day old, this baby for 13 hours straight, breathing twice as fast as she could.
They started seeing signs of improvement, that her lungs were starting to clear and she wasn't struggling as much. So it was like every couple hours they would move the ventilator settings to where she was breathing more on her own and relying less on the machine. And then one day I remember walking in and the ventilator was gone. It was Father's Day weekend, and my dad and you had come in and to sit with Ava. It was a Sunday. And we found out that day, on Father's Day, that Ava was be able to come home the next day. It was a Monday. And we got to take Ava home at that point. She was a little 3 weeks old, over 3 weeks old, and we were finally leaving the hospital.
Ava's doing so well.
There was a little fear at the beginning where she had been on so much medicine and such high doses that there was gonna, be some problems with her eyesight or with her hearing. She is in dance. She's in gymnastics. She just recently started this year when she started school cheerleading. So Ava was born May 2013, and then a couple years later we were able to welcome Jason in to our family. And so our family's complete now, and everybody's healthy and happy and whole, and we couldn't be doing any better.
Really, with the journey that we've been through with Ava, we wanted to figure out, now that we have completed that part, we said, what else could we do possibly to help other people that may be going through a journey similar to this? And so we have something at our company that is called the 1% for Good. And it's an initiative that we came out with a while back, where Jeff Cook Cares and our real estate company has agreed to give a certain percentage of our earnings back to causes 1% for Good. The reason that we bring this up is that if you're interested in helping participate in this, then whenever you engage us to help you try to find a home, sell a home, then you also are helping contribute back to the same type of a story that Sarah and I have in our journey with Ava along the way.